Hello, dear students. How are you all? I hope you are taking good care of yourself. So, let's come back to pen and paper chemistry and our pen and paper to be in our hands because we shall continue to revise the effects which define the behavior of an organic compound. In the earlier videos, we've already discussed inductive effect, electromeric effect, and in between, after introducing resonance, I had gone back to discussing Lewis structures. And those who are getting the notifications must be wondering why I did that. I did explain to you the canonical structures, the resonance hybrid, the symbol used to separate the canonical structures. So why would I go back to Lewis structures? So let's understand that. Resonance is a phenomena which is used to explain the behavior of organic compounds, right? And even in the case of inorganic ions also we do see resonance. So resonance cannot be explained or resonance cannot be understood without drawing proper structures. And what structures are they? They are Lewis structures. So let's go ahead. After practicing Lewis structures and formal charge, I've already uploaded 3 videos on this, clearing all the concepts, all the doubts, and a very easy to follow flow chart in order to explain Lewis structures. Just a sneak peek of the flow chart that I mentioned just now. In case you've not revised Lewis structures, please do that. When we draw resonance structures, we talk about interaction between pi bonds or between pi bond and lone pair of electrons. Now, in order to show those pi bonds and lone pair of electrons, I'm taking an example over here, carbonate ion. Now, in the case of carbonate ion, this is a Lewis structure that we've already discussed. Now, what is the other possibility that we can have in drawing this carbonate ion? Here, this oxygen says that I am sharing my electrons with carbon in order to help complete its octet. I want to take some rest. Why not you take the initiative, and take over my role? Okay, this oxygen says, fine, that's a good idea. Why not? We are one family. So let me do that for you. So that means this oxygen, it has its electrons. So the pi bond moves back. And the lone pair of electrons from the oxygen on the top comes and forms a double bond with the carbon. So with the result 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Whereas the third oxygen is silently observing all this. So you notice now the formal charge would be -1 here and a -1 here. Overall the charge again remains the same. Let's see one more possibility. Now the third oxygen says, oh, I can also do this. Why should I remain a mute spectator only? So there's a third possibility where it is the third oxygen which forms the double bond with carbon and the other 2 oxygen are having their complete set of lone pairs, right? So there's a -1 and there's a -1. Again, if you notice, overall charge -2, overall charge -2, overall charge -2. Check the total number of valence electrons. Calculate, see the structure. Now, once you determine the total valence electrons in each of these structures, you will realize that it is 8 times 2 and then 4 from the double bond here and then 4 electrons of the lone pair, 24. Here also 24, here also 24. Also, the overall charge of the ion is remaining the same. So what do you have to remember? You don't move the atoms. You notice over here we have not changed the position of the atoms. We have only moved the position of the pi bond, the lone pair of the electrons, right? Now, does this type of an electron shift involve only pi bond and lone pair of electrons? Or does it involve only ions like we are seeing in the case of carbonate ion CO3 2 negative? No, this can take place in the case of neutral molecules as well. So let's see the structure of ozone. So we have here, I've drawn the Lewis structure again. So what is the possibility here? One oxygen number 1, so let's name it as 1, 2 and 3. Oxygen number 1 says, I want to take a break. Why don't you take charge and form a double bond with the center oxygen? Oh yes, I can do that. I'll be happy to do. And that's what happens here. So O single bond, O double bond, O. Please don't forget to move the electrons as well, right? So again, if you notice, there has been interaction between the lone pairs and the pi bonded electrons. The overall charge again on the molecule remains 0. So the second learning is, you don't change the charges. The total number of electrons still remains the same. Only they move around a little bit. They try to satisfy all of them. But the thing is that they don't leave the species. Now I'm using the word species because that could be a molecule, that could be an ion as well. So for example, in the case of carboxylate ion, why don't you try and draw the resonance structure of the carboxylate ion? Half of it I have already drawn, but it's still not complete. So you see over here, oxygen has formed only one bond. So it's a -1 here. Go ahead and draw the resonance structure. See the pi electron cloud and the lone pair. What will happen? This I'm leaving it as such over here. So again in oxygen, go ahead, pause the video, try it yourself. Yes, it is very much similar to the carbonate ion. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget to show the electrons. They are very, very important for our resonating structures. By the way, can you tell me what are these different possibilities called? Yes, they are called as canonical structures. What's the symbol used to separate canonical structures? Yes, it's a double-headed arrow. Now, please don't use this symbol because this symbol means equilibrium. In other words, form number 1 is changing to form number 2, form number 2 is changing to form number 1. No, that is not what it actually means. What resonance means is that my carboxylate ion is neither 1 nor 2 completely. So what is happening over here is, you can try and visualize it like this. So something like this over here. So my electrons, the pi electrons and the lone pairs, they are dancing in between the two oxygen atoms, trying to keep both of them happy, but in the process they are touching upon carbon as well, right? Because that's where they have to give the toll tax. They cannot annoy the host. Remember in Lewis structures? So far so good. We've talked about ions having resonance. We've talked about a molecule having resonance. Now, does it happen only in the case of inorganic compounds? Look at that. We're going to talk about resonance in benzene. There's nothing to talk about. All teachers and everybody explains the resonance starting with benzene. It's such an easy representation because here what do we have is, we have got only interaction of the pi bonds. See how the pi bonds are moving here, here and here. So again, what structure is benzene? I have already discussed this in the previous video. Yes, benzene is neither 1 nor 2. What is it? It's an intermediate where the pi electrons are distributed over the entire ring with their lobes overlapping in the upper and the bottom half, right? So that is why this is called as the resonance hybrid. So my carbon-carbon bond is neither an entirely double bond nor is it entirely a single bond. No, it's not even a triple bond. It's something in between. So basically like playing the game of passing the parcel, right? So they are going to keep on passing it around so that if somebody tries to come and take away their electron, no, boss, it's not going to happen. We are going to make you jump from carbon to carbon to carbon, right? And that is what makes resonance so important, because resonance means stability. They are not keeping the load of charge on any one atom. They are sharing that responsibility. They are sharing that load. So for example, in the case of carboxylate, in the case of ozone, they are all pitching in and saying, okay, don't worry, we are there for you, right? Now, let's see the case of benzene substituted by a group like phenol. Again, what have we got over here? We've got a lone pair of electrons on oxygen which it can share with the benzene ring. Now, if it shares the lone pair of electrons with the benzene ring, good. So that means I have one lone pair left here. Now look at the carbon here. Okay, by the way, sorry, I forgot to draw the double bonds. Look at this carbon. This carbon is now 2 bonds here, 2 bonds here and a single bond. So how many electrons are there for this carbon? Count. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is a little baby group 2, right? So can it be happy? Can we load it like this? No way, we can't do that. So what do we need to do? That means the next carbon says, don't worry, I will withdraw the pi electrons and take it onto myself. Very nice of them to understand each other's problem, right? So let's draw the second canonical structure in the case of phenol. So let's show the movement of the electron. We've got the electrons here, a double bond O and 2 electrons of the lone pair and hydrogen. Now because oxygen, now look at the formal charge on oxygen. Yes, the formal charge on oxygen will now be +1. Remember how we calculated the formal charge? The other 2 bonds remain in their place. Okay. Can we leave this carbon loaded? No, it's got a negative charge. So what happens here? The electrons, now this will try to form a double bond. So what we will do? Okay, the electrons, they can move with the result. Can I have something like this? In other words, okay, let me show a bigger figure. Can I have 2 bonds like this? No. So what do? We move these electrons to the next carbon atom. So let us draw our next canonical structure in a more clear way. So what do we have here? Negative here, electrons. Don't forget the electrons. Again, double bond OH. You see, my molecule is still neutral. There's a double bond here. This double bond is unaffected. It's like, okay, the parcel hasn't reached me as yet, so I am fine. Okay, what about the third one? Now again, move the electrons here to form a double bond and move the electrons of the pi bond to the next carbon atom. Yes, so this is where your Lewis structures come in very handy, because then you are very clear about what you want to draw and how you're going to draw. So you notice over here the various canonical structures of phenol. In each case, the overall charge is 0, +1, -1, +1, -1, +1, and a -1 here. So we started with a neutral molecule. We do have a neutral molecule, which is an essential condition. The formal charge over the molecule should not change when you are drawing the canonical structures. You don't move the atoms. See, I did not move the oxygen and the hydrogen. They're still in their place. You don't move the atoms. You only move the electrons. You don't spoil the octet of the elements of group 2. That means you don't overload the host. But yes, elements of group 3, they are happy to have the extra burden, so you can take that chance, but not. So yeah, correct, you are right. These are the rules of drawing the Lewis structures. Well done. Okay, and what else over here? What else can you see? Now, if you notice over here in these structures, I have got a positive charge on oxygen. Now, what kind of an atom is oxygen? Is it electropositive or electronegative? You have it on the left hand side of the periodic table or the right hand side of the periodic table. Yes, you have it on the right hand side. It prefers to be electronegative. It prefers to be negatively charged rather than positively charged. So although phenol has a number of canonical structures, but these are not so close to the ground state. That means their contribution is they're not as valuable to the behavior of phenol. They are there. Yes, they are existing. So if I compare the phenol to, let's suppose, an alcohol, for example C2H5OH or CH3OH, right? So if I, let's say, take C2H5OH, now this particular compound does not have a resonance at all, right? There is no resonance in this compound. So no resonance means no sharing of the load, no sharing is caring, and no, it's a little difficult in its behavior. What do we mean by difficult? Stability. So we find that it is easier to break the bonds, the OH bond or the CO bond in the case of alcohols, the aliphatic alcohols, and a little difficult. You need drastic conditions in order to break the bonds in the case of phenol. See, this is where sharing is caring comes in helpful. So a quick overview of the points that you should remember when you are drawing the canonical structures. So the heading that I have given is, what should I remember when I draw canonical structures? First and foremost, move electrons, don't move atoms. What kind of electrons can you move? Yes, you can move pi electrons. Yes, you can move lone pair of electrons, right? You can also move single electrons, but you don't move atoms. The total number of unpaired electrons have to remain same. We saw in the case of carbonate ion, the total number of valence electrons in each of these structures is 24, right? That should not change. You should always take care of the babies in the molecule. boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, elements of the second period, they are small. You can't overload them. So the maximum that they can go is an octet. By the way, hydrogen is only a duplet. It's the smallest baby that we have in the house. Third period atoms, yes, they can expand their octet, and yes, this is one of the points when drawing the Lewis structures. A very, very important point over here is that the structure should be planar. The atoms should be in one plane. They should all be at the level playing field. Although we shall not be taking many examples for our grade 12 level that we are covering on this channel. What are the symbols used? We use a double-headed arrow to separate canonical structures, and we use triple dashes in order to represent a resonance hybrid. When you draw the canonical structures, if there is no charge, there's no formal charge on the atoms, that will be the best structure. If there are charges on the atoms, then a structure in which the negative goes to an electronegative atom and a positive formal charge to an electropositive atom is considered better than the situation reversed. Now, what do I mean by this? We are taking the case of RCOOH, a carboxylic acid. Draw the Lewis structures of carboxylic acid and of course the resonance structures. Now once you've drawn these various possible structures, can you tell me the formal charge that you will get on the oxygen? Yes, it's a +1. Again, overall the molecule is neutral. So if you see in this structure, the overall charge on the oxygen is +1. Now, similarly, I've drawn the canonical structures of the carboxylate ion as well. So, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to explain over here? Look at the two forms of the carboxylic acid and look at the two forms of the carboxylate ion. In carboxylic acid, your oxygen gets a +1 charge. It's an electronegative atom, it's getting a positive charge. Not a nice thing to do because oxygen likes to be negative, right? Whereas when I talk about carboxylic acid, I'm getting a negative formal charge in both the structures on oxygen, and that's the happiest thing that can happen to oxygen in such a scenario. So when I compare the canonical structures of the two species, of course here is a molecule, a neutral molecule, whereas here it's a charged species. In the first one, a carboxylic acid, your oxygen is an electronegative atom is getting a positive charge. So that means its contribution towards resonance is less. It's not as good a possibility as the second one. So that's a great possibility wherein your oxygen has a negative charge. So yes, we can take these canonical structures, but drawing these canonical structures gives us an idea where there is a greater possibility of resonance playing its role and where it is not. So here in the case of carboxylic acid, when carboxylic acid loses a proton, that means, loses a proton, H positive. So what happens over here? It forms the carboxylate ion. Now we see that the carboxylate ion is existing in two canonical structures which are equivalent in energy, so their contribution to resonance is great. So carboxylic acid is happy to get rid of its hydrogen in order to form the carboxylate ion. And that is why they are able to show acidic properties. What about aliphatic alcohols, ROH? Do you think the RO negative will have resonance in it? We just now spoke about alcohols a while ago. No, there is no resonance in this. So, are the alcohols happy to get rid of their H easily? No, they are not. That is why their acidic character is very, very weak, almost negligible. Although we shall do one or two reactions explaining the same, but yes, their acidic character is almost nil. Now you must be wondering that out of these structures, which is the actual structure of the molecule or the ion? Sad part, none of them. None of them is the actual structure. Why? Because in the case of the electrons, as I mentioned the game, passing the parcel, remember we used to play when we used to enjoy life, playing around, right? So you keep on passing the parcel so that it does not remain localized. So what is happening is the electron is getting delocalized. So when it is delocalized, it is all over the place, right? It's going here and there, as we have seen in the case of a number of molecules. It's not remaining confined. So when I take the structure of carbon dioxide also, so the actual behavior would be something like this. In between a double and a triple bond. Just like the parcel in the game of passing the parcel does not belong to any one person in specific, but yes, it belongs to all who are playing the game. Now, explaining it in the language of chemistry, what do we have is, you compare the carbon-oxygen bond length, single bond, double bond, triple bond. See the values 143, 121, 110. But when we experimentally observe the carbon-oxygen bond length in carbon dioxide, we notice that it is 115. It's neither a complete triple bond nor a complete double bond. Understand, students, that we are trying to explain what we are observing by giving the concept of resonance, right? We are trying to explain the natural phenomena to the best of our knowledge. Another interesting question that I have posed to myself: do all structures have equal relevance when explaining resonance? No, we just now saw, right? So if any structure which is lower in energy will have greater stability. So what do we mean by lower energy? So we will see. First and foremost, you don't overload the babies. The group 2, the period 2, not the group 2, the period 2 elements. They always have to be in the octet rule. Second priority, if possible, why not octet for all of them, right? Electron deficiency makes them sad. So structure, so if you have to compare a structure in which the octet rule of the elements of period 2 is obeyed, yes, that's a very good structure, and that's closest to the ground state. That's got the least energy, right? Followed by a structure in which all the atoms have their octet complete. Less separation of charges, or better still, no charge at all, right? No charge. So if I compare, if I see the structure of phenol, so what is happening over here? So you see, positive, negative. Now negative has moved. See the distance. The charge separation is increasing, right? So the contribution of this structure will be lower compared to the other two. Last but not the least, Negative on electronegative, positive on electropositive, like we did in the case of oxygen. Oxygen is not happy if you give it a positive charge. It is happy when it is negatively charged or neutral. So you must be wondering that if it's not a real phenomenon, then why do you need to learn this concept? Yeah, that's what I asked myself also. Why should I learn the concept of resonance? We use it as the backbone of organic chemistry in order to explain the stability of a number of compounds. We just now took the examples of alcohol and carboxylic acid in order to compare their acidic character. We explain a number of phenomena related to resonance. We explain the behavior of substances, why phenols do not undergo chemical reactions easily, why do we need extreme conditions in order to bring about reactions of aromatic compounds compared to aliphatic, right? So all these can be explained with the help of resonance, which you will experience as you advance in the course of organic chemistry. Now, no matter how many times you watch this video, you go through your textbook, you watch 10 other videos, unless you actually draw the resonance structures, you will never be comfortable with this concept. And from my own experience, what I would say is don't think of memorizing. Although many a times while teaching, I have also given tricks to make you understand or make you or help you to draw the resonance structures. I would not favor this. I would suggest that you watch the videos on Lewis structures, you draw the structures with me, and then draw the canonical forms. And when you have done all of this and you are happy, then please post a smiley in the comment section. That will make my day. Please take care of yourself and your health. Take a break because you've watched a 30 minutes video of a heavy topic. So relax, chill pill. See you in the next video.